ladies and gentlemen, to the BFNL Footy Show for another week, proudly brought to you by McDonald's Ballarat and Ballarat Toyota. Shaun Kelly's my name, in the host chair once again this week. Joining me is my co-host Liam Brady. Liam, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks Shaun, good to be back, mate, and looking forward to talking about a massive weekend of footy action over the Anzac Day weekend.
And it was a massive weekend of footy and netball happening throughout the BFL this weekend. We're focusing on the footy and the major talking points of the week from throughout round two, and it started off with two grounds being opened up for the first time on the weekend. Of course, Alfredton Oval being played under lights, and Eureka Stadium, the first BFL game being played there after the VFL was opened on Friday night. And fantastic effort by the City of Ballarat with what they're doing with their grounds program. Two more new grounds done up, some more coming over the next couple of years, and what they're doing for football in the region is fantastic.
Yeah, you're spot on, Shaun. It's great for football in the region. I know that just going to watch games on these great services, it just obviously improves the spectacle of the game, and there's higher scoring games. The skills of the players are really good as well. So, to have the Lake Wendouree ground done last year, obviously Ballarat has now been finished. We know that Northern Oval's been done.
Yep.
Down the road, Manly Park's in good condition, Daly Park's in good condition, and in a couple of years' time we'll have a few more ovals in the same sort of condition as those ones that have been done recently. So it's great. It's really exciting for the region to have young players, I think, playing on these grounds as well. It will obviously improve their development, make coaching a lot easier. So that's a good thing.
It is indeed, and it's raising the standard of football in the region. So well done to the clubs involved, and well done to the City of Ballarat for getting that happening. Talking point number two from the weekend. What a weekend it was for the Bacchus Marsh Football Netball Club. Their teams of the era announced on Saturday night, their best teams from throughout their BFL tenure, and three current day players named in the teams. Katie Williams, who's now with Lake Wendouree, named at wing attack in their netball team, and then Tyson Shea and Cameron Richardson named in the football team as well. Fantastic night on Saturday night at Mattingley Park, and then a fantastic day on Sunday at Mattingley Park with the full Anzac ceremony. Kudos to Bacchus Marsh for the way they organised that, along with the Daly Footy Club, and then got the job done quite nicely on the field. Did the Cobras in a huge weekend for the club.
Yeah, massive weekend, Shaun. I think the celebration of the team, it was great, and to see a couple of current day players make the team. In particular, Tyson Shea has been a great warrior for that club for a long period of time. Now we know there's won numerous best and fairest at the club and been a interleague representative as well. So well done to Tyson and obviously Richo as well. He's playing good footy at the moment. Look, on the weekend it was just a great weekend for the club, because the way they played against Daly, I think probably took a lot of people by surprise, but it just goes to show that they're a genuine finals contender this year. Yeah,
they are. Look, really impressed with the way that they kind of gelled as a team. I went and had a look at the first half of this game, and really I went at quarter time to take some photos of the netball. By then, the game was done.
Yeah.
It was 9 goals to 3 at quarter time. I came back and took some more shots in the second half of the second quarter, and half time it was done and dusted. Cameron Richardson, 6 goals. Alec Del Papa looked fantastic. Coming back to the club this year, he's been a huge boost. And Hamish Coulton down back, who was an under-17 best and fairest, under-16.5 best and fairest a couple of years ago in the BFL, really finding his feet in senior footy as a key defender now.
Yeah, look, I suppose Bacchus Marsh have been building for some time now. Over the last couple of years, they've played some really good games throughout seasons, but probably haven't been able to get the job done when it's mattered. But obviously, with the younger group having more games under their belts, more experience, and obviously new coaches has certainly helped as well. And I think now, we do realise that they're a team that can beat anyone, as they showed on the weekend. So I think if you take Bacchus Marsh lightly at any stage throughout the season, you'll come undone just like Daly did on the weekend. Look, I wouldn't read too much into Daly's performance on the weekend. They're a great side. They certainly didn't take anyone lightly. I didn't mean it by take anyone lightly, but they're probably just beaten by a better side on the weekend. But Daly's performance over the last 12 months has been outstanding, and they are a genuine premiership contender still. And I think they'll bounce back this weekend against Sunbury.
Yeah, we'll talk about that very shortly. Before we do, though, talking point number 3 for the weekend. Hashtag up the borough. Sebastopol took them 5 years to get a win leading into last year. It's taken them 2 rounds this year, getting the job done quite handsomely. 41 points over Melton South on the weekend. And I suppose the good thing that I heard Shane Snipson say during the week was the fact that they were able to savour it for the last 15 minutes of the game. They knew the game was theirs by then, and for the first time in a long time, the Sebastopol players and supporters could play out kind of the last 10 minutes of footy knowing that they had the game in the bag. Yeah,
look, a great result for the whole club. Look, Snibbo's been on board for the last couple of years now, and I think it was never going to happen overnight in terms of his progress from a team point of view. We know that they've got a very young group, so now those younger players have got a certain amount of senior experience, and they're I suppose developing every single week. And And I think last week against Ballarat they were really competitive for most of the game, and they went down by a couple of goals, and they continued that pretty good form into this week. And as you said, they led quite comfortably at 3/4 time, and they were able to, as you said, savour the win. They kicked away in the last quarter and obviously won by 48 points, I think it was in the end. So a great reward for a lot of effort put in by not only Snivo but also other personnel around their club. Cam Morgan has done a really good job as president, and obviously having a few senior players, blokes like Brett Goods now, to I suppose keep developing those younger players. They've got another chance to get 4 points this week against Melton. So I should also mention that their reserves have had 2 good wins in a row as well. Sebastian. So they've got some good depth at the club now, which is exciting.
It is indeed. Things going very nicely for the Sebastopol Football Netball Club to start the season. Let's have a look at round 3 in the BFNL this week, starting with what's going to be a pretty big game down at the Wendouree Reserve as Lake Wendouree take on Ballarat. Both teams undefeated to start the season, and probably fair to say that not many outside of the Alfred and Oval would have expected the Swans to be 2-zip going into this weekend.
Yeah, full credit to Ash Baker and his hierarchy there, because look, they had a win against Sebastopol in round 1, but I don't think anyone gave them a chance on Saturday night. And full credit to the young group, because they came out, they played exciting football, and they were too good for East Point. So they would be delighted with the way they started the season. And they head into a game against Lake Wendouree. Lake Wendouree are probably one of the premiership contenders now. Yep. They had a really good win in round 1 against Redan. Came from behind. Their last quarter was fantastic. Lakers had the week off, and it's going to be a real test for a young group of Ballarat to actually see where they're at against probably one of the real contenders. I think Lake Wendouree will be a fraction too strong at home, but it just goes to show if you underestimate Ballarat throughout this season, you'll probably lose the game. So I'm sure Lake Wendouree won't get complacent at all this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game at Wendouree Reserve, as will the game at Darley Park this weekend. Darley taking on Sunbury. Sunbury, good win over Melton on the weekend. Stood firm when the Bloods were flying at them at the end of the game and were able to kick away. And we're going to see the Devils on something that probably haven't seen for quite a while, them on the rebound. They did, obviously, round 18 last year, they were on the rebound. Didn't lose a game since.
Yep. Now
they've got to come up and basically save face from their loss against Bacchus Marsh last weekend.
Yeah, look, a really big game. We know the winner will go to two wins and 1 loss.
Yep.
So it's an important game for both teams. I just think that the Darley on the rebound will bounce back and have a good win. Look, Sunbury's form has been a little bit patchy. We know that they can play some really good footy, so they need to come prepared along with Darley. But I just think Darley, they would be very disappointed with their result on the weekend, and I'm sure at home we know they're a quality team and they'll bounce back and have a good win against Sunbury this week.
East Point taking on Bacchus Marsh at the Eastern Oval this weekend. East Point will be stinging after losing the game against Ballarat last week. That sees them sitting 0-2 on the season so far, and I think they kicked 9 goals, 20 in that game under lights. They'll be looking for a big one at home against a Bacchus Marsh team that was super, super impressive on the weekend and have started the season with 2 wins, Len.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And look, East Point, it's a crunch game. It's only round 3, but it's a must-win game for East Point. They'll be disappointed with the way they played on Saturday night, but Glenn Wilkins, really good coach, who's been involved in footy a long time. I think he'll work on some things at training this week and maybe change a few things up. Probably a few guys in the reserves that might get an opportunity this week.
Yep.
And I think at home, even though they're playing a side in Bacchus Marsh who had a great win against a premiership contender in Darley this week, I think at home East Point can record their first win for the season. It will certainly be a must-win.
Yeah, it will be indeed, but I don't know if they can. What I saw from Bacchus Marsh on the weekend was fantastic, and the players we spoke about before, Richo, Alec Del Papa, Hamish Coulton, really playing some good footy at the moment. Deck Filand running off half-back as well. They've got things going quite nicely at the moment. This will be a big test for them. It's their first game away from Mattingley Park for the season, so it'll be interesting to see how they go on a little bit bigger ground, but I'm tipping them. I'm going with them because they sold me on the way that they played on the weekend, and they're going very, very nicely at the moment. Redan taking on Melton South just out here at the City Oval on the weekend, and the Redanis also 0-2 to start the season. There's some good sides that are yet to win a game this year, and Redan amongst them. Close game against North City on the weekend. They couldn't quite get the job done. They'll be looking to bounce back in a big way against Melton South this weekend. Yeah,
look, Redan, they've been so close in their first couple of games, and I think they're a side, Redan, that will get better as the season goes on.
There's no doubt.
They only played 1 practice match, I think, and look, against Lake Wendouree, I thought they were pretty good for 3 quarters, beaten in the last quarter, and obviously on the weekend they weren't far away. So I think they'll have a really good win and open their account with 4 points on Saturday. Just looking at the window now, the City Oval's in pretty good condition, so which is great to see. Look, I think Melton South, they'll be just hoping to come up the highway and put in a really competitive performance. Young group, they just need to try and, I suppose, they're going to expose some of the younger players to some really good opposition players. Redan got, but I think they'll be beaten by probably just a bit too much class in the
Yeah, Redan for me as well in this one. Last game for the round, Sebastopol taking on Melton at the Marty Bush Reserve. This corresponding game last year at the Marty Bush Reserve was won by Sebastopol, so they'll go in with a lot of confidence, especially after last week. Melton didn't quite get the win against Sunbury. They'll be expecting to win this game and win it pretty well, but can they?
I'm actually going to tip Sebas here. I think that the way they've played over the last 2 weeks gives me every confidence to be able to tip them. They've got a good structure in place now in terms of the way they set up around the ground. Snivo's done a really good job, and I think coming off a good win, it's amazing what a win does in terms of confidence levels for a young group. So I think at home they play the ground pretty well. They'll be fresh and too strong for a Melton side who's really well led by Brad Murphy, and they'll be desperate to, I suppose, change the result of last year when they got beaten by Sebastopol, so I think Sebas just.
It'll be a very interesting game at Marty Bush Reserve. North City with the bye this week as well, so they'll get the week off to have a look at what some other sides are doing. That's it for the BFL Footy Show for the week. Again, proudly brought to you by McDonald's Ballarat, and I think I'm going to go and wrap my teeth around one of their fan feed boxes once I leave here. Just $10.95, and you get all of the favourites in there. Fantastic value. And of course, Ballarat Toyota. Go and see Darryl Crawley down there. Get a test drive on one of their new cars today. You're running around in a new RAV4 at the moment, and I believe it's quite nice.
Very nice, Shaun. Recommend them for sure. And McDonald's, mate. What's in the box, mate?
Just about everything you could find, mate. I think there's a burger in there. There's some bites. There's some fries. There's a dessert. There's just about everything going on. It's fantastic going along down to getting McDonald's and keeping myself in shape, so to speak.
Beautiful.
That's all we've got time for this week. Sponsors plugs out of the way. We'll see you next week on the BFNL Footy Show.
Bye for now.